May my homage to the gem of the Supreme Buddha. The Buddha is my refuge every day. May my homage to the gem of the Supreme Dhamma. The Dhamma is my refuge every day. May my homage to the gem of the Supreme Sangha. The Sangha is my refuge every day. May my homage to the Supreme Triple Gem. The Triple Gem is my refuge every day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya. Meritorious devotees, you all are fortunate enough to listen to the sublime Dhamma expounded by the fully enlightened one, the exalted one, who is born to this world to explicate to us the reality of the world. The reality is what is called anicca, impermanence, and dukkha, unsatisfactoriness or suffering, or anatta, soullessness or unsubstantiality. Meritorious devotees, we all know the sublime Dhamma of the Supreme Buddha was brought to Sri Lanka by Arahat Mahinda Thera on a Poson Poya Day, which we celebrated recently. When Arahat Mahinda Thera arrived in Sri Lanka was ruled by King Devanampiya, which is very, very well known fact. And when Arahat Mahinda Thera came to Sri Lanka, King Devanampiya was hunting a deer, and he did not know, or he did not practice, rather, what is called non-violence. Therefore, he wanted to make himself pleased by hunting deer, hunting animals, and he went to hunt animals with his retinue of 40,000 people. However, Arahat Mahinda Thera arrived and he addressed King Devanampiya by his name, and then he looked up, he saw the Arahat Mahinda Thera with other monks and the Upasaka, and the Arahat Mahinda Thera was illuminating the entire arena with yellow robes which he was wearing, and finally King Devanampiya threw away his bow and arrow, indicating that he would not harm any animal in the future. And this is the starting of a new era in Sri Lankan society. And this era flourished thousands of years in Sri Lankan society with so many disturbances here and there due to some invasions from South India by Cholas and some Westerners in 1505, 1657 and 1815. However, when it comes to present context, once again we have got the opportunity to bring back that great culture, the flourished culture, the nourished culture with Buddhism for the benefit of both humans and the devas. So meritorious devotees, we have to go back to the period in which Arahat Mahinda Thera delivered sublime Dhamma to Sri Lankans. For the first time, Arahat Mahinda Thera delivered the discourse called Chulahatti Padopama discourse, which explicated as to how an ordinary person becoming a Buddhist monk, having got some kind of unshakable confidence on the Dhamma, specifically on the teachings of the Supreme Buddha, and having discarded his wealth, having discarded his relatives, larger or smaller, then he becomes a Buddhist monk, follows the Dhamma and follows the rules of discipline, and finally practice the Dhamma and becomes an Arahat, where he started to believe the Supreme Buddha is enlightened, Dhamma is well expounded, and Sangha is of good conduct. So this discourse, having listened to this discourse, King Devanam Piyatissa and the retinue started to take refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly, which is the historical incident took place in Sri Lankan society, to change a kind of general type of society into a special type of society. That means the special in the sense is spiritual society, the general in the sense in which there was no kind of practicing of the 5 precepts, practicing of merits, practicing of Dhamma, practicing of calmness, quietness, non-violence, loving kindness, and things like that. One can argue that before the arrival of or advent of Buddhism to Sri Lanka, there was a kind of civilization which flourished in Sri Lankan society at Ravana period and before that. Maybe there might have been a kind of civilization or kind of historical culture which flourished and which was some kind of advanced society. And some argue whether why the arrival of the Supreme Buddha to Sri Lanka thrice did not give this kind of elevated culture to Sri Lankan society. Why Buddhism did not flourish in Sri Lanka? Now there are so many answers for that, because when the Supreme Buddha arrived in Sri Lanka, the Supreme Buddha came because of the fact that there were some specific incidents to attend on. For example, the problem of the Yakas in Mayangana and problem of the Nagas in Nagadeepa, and for the invitation, in order to give some kind of respect to the invitation to the king Maniakika of Kelaniya, the Supreme Buddha came to Sri Lanka thrice. And according to records, historical records, there were no specific discourses delivered by the Supreme Buddha in Sri Lanka in those 3 journeys. And during the Ravana period, it was not recorded that there was a kind of spiritual development, specifically Buddhistic way of life. There was a kind of civilization, but there was no such a developed type of civilization. It was not recorded. But this is the first time, established religion came to Sri Lanka and started to flourish and dominate the regional or previous culture, and coming up this special new religion forward, illuminating entire Sri Lankan society, giving light of wisdom to dispel the darkness of ignorance. Now that is why we respect the Mihindu culture. So Mihindu culture is the culture which gave us almost everything. The three refuges, the most important gems in the world, without which we cannot attain Nibbana. These are the most important things, gems in the world. And also, we have to remember that specifically practice of observing of 5 precepts. Now that is because of Mihindu culture. And also, specifically we must remember that the charity, meritorious deeds like offering and virtue and meditation, all these things came into Sri Lanka due to the arrival of Buddhism. And our culture became civilized. The language, the way of life, the way of our dressing and our thinking pattern, the belief system, so all change from sort of general level to spiritual level. And you can remember our people at that time, they tend to worship even almost all trees. They tend to worship cliffs, rocks and all that. But Arahat Mahinda Thero changed them into spiritual status. For example, Arahat Mahinda Thera introduced the Bodhi tree for us to worship and accumulate merits. And pagoda, that is the first time that we got this concept of pagodas, Dagaba, Chaitya, instead of rocks, mere worshipping of rocks, nothing, no use, useless, no use of worshipping rocks. You cannot gain any merit. But Arahat Mahinda Thera introduced, you can build up pagodas and you can enshrine relics, specifically the relics of the Supreme Buddha, Sarvajña Dhatu. That is why King Devanam Piyatissa built up the first, believed to be the first pagoda in Sri Lanka. That was Thuparame. And then other kings started to build up various pagodas. King Kavantissa built up Mangala Chaitya in Seruvavila, enshrining the Lalata Dhatu, the relic of forehead, which is the largest relics of the Supreme Buddha after the cremation of the Supreme Buddha after passing away. And it is a great thing that the Shraddha Rupayani channel and specifically the Mahamevuna monastery, with the advice of our Venerable Kiribati Jnanananda Thera, going to establish or make golden fence around this historical sacred pagoda. Now we got all that from the culture introduced by Arahat Mahinda Thera, and then King Gamani Abhaya or King Gamunu built up a very huge pagoda called Ruangwali Mahasaya enshrining, lot of enshrining lot of relics of the Supreme Buddha, and Mirisawatiya, and then other kings built up Abhayagiriya, Jetavanaya and Lankaramaya and all these pagodas in Sri Lanka. So this culture, what is called Vevai Dagabai, so tank and pagoda, Gamai Pansalai, village and paddy field, this culture came to Sri Lanka because of the advent of Buddhism. Now in this Dhamma discourse, I am explaining for the first part, I am explaining the value of the culture introduced by Arahat Mahinda Thera to Sri Lanka. And of course, he delivered, Arahat Mahinda Thera, the first discourse as Chulahatti Padopama discourse, which explicates the triple gem and how an noble person, how he becomes a person who believes in the triple gem wholeheartedly at the final level. And meritorious devotees, apart from that, Arahat Mahinda Thera on the second day, having partaken midday meal in the palace, after completion of that, he delivered discourses, especially Satya Sanyutta, which includes 135 discourses, small discourses, which is found in Sanyutta Nikaya, 5th section, 2nd part. In those discourses, there are so many important Dhamma parts. For example, the rareness of being born as human beings, how rare it is to encounter a Buddha Sasana, how rare it is to encounter the Supreme Buddha. So these things are found in these 135 discourses, what are called Satya Sanyutta. There is a discourse called Chiggala discourse. In that discourse, it is mentioned that, now we know the Chiggala is a kind of some wood which is taken to tie two buffaloes while in order to flour in the paddy field. Now there is a hole in that wood, and that is put into the sea. There is a turtle, one eye is blind. So this turtle comes up after 100 years and comes up after 100 years. The Supreme Buddha asks from the bhikkhus, O bhikkhus, O monks, whether this turtle be able to comes up 100 years after 100 years and put his head into this hole in that particular wood called Viyagaha. Then the bhikkhus answered, O Venerable Sir, having come like that continuously, 100 years after 100 years, one day this turtle may be able to put his head into this hole of that particular wood. Then the Supreme Buddha says, O monks, to be born as human beings is rare rather than this turtle putting his head into that wood floating in the sea. Now from this simile, you can understand how rare it is to be born as human beings. Such a difficult thing to be born as a human being. And in the Dutiya Chiggala discourse of the same Satya Sanyutta, the Supreme Buddha has explicated the rareness of the encounter of the Buddha Sasana and birth of the Supreme Buddha and the becoming a human being. Therefore, these discourses are available in Satya Sanyutta. And in the Nakasika discourse, one day the Supreme Buddha takes some small amount of soil from the earth, put them onto his nail, and asked from the monks the amount of the soil in the earth is comparable to that of soil in the nail. Then they said, "Oh, Venerable Sir, we cannot compare it and we cannot exactly say." Then Supreme Buddha says, out of the population born in the world, a small amount of, just like the soil on the nail, may be born as human beings or devas. A large number of people, just like the soil in the earth, may be born in the hell. Now you can understand how rare and how difficult it is to be born as human beings or gods, to come to a pleasurable plane. Unfortunately, so many people in this world do not understand this. That is why they gratify their senses overwhelmingly. They do not want to, calm down their senses. They always want to arouse their senses. And the environment is also created. The environment has been created to arouse their senses, not to be calm, quiet and all that. Eye, ear, nose, tongue and body and mind, these are being gratified by people excessively. This is discernible in the present context in Sri Lanka in general and in the world in particular, because there are so many equipments and various types of things for people to gratify their senses, and we have been attached to them. There is no detachment, because we are craving for things. We have craving for sensual pleasures, kama tanha. We have craving for bhava tanha, what is called birth, re-becoming. And we have craving for non-existence, vibhava tanha. Therefore, we are gratifying our senses, and we do not want to put an end to them. Now, that is why people are born again and again in samsara. Therefore, meritorious devotees, the Supreme Buddhas are born to this world to tell this reality. So, in Satya Sanyutta, there are these types of discourses to tell us the reality. Now, out of these discourses, there are 30 discourses in relation to the disappearance of the beings and appearance of the beings due to their good and bad actions. So, these were delivered by Arahat Mahinda Thero to Queen Anula and her 500 attendants, and finally including Satya Sanyutta and Vimanavattu Petavattu. So, having listened to these Dhamma, Queen Anula and the attendants attained first stage of sainthood on the second day of the arrival of Arahat Mahinda Thera to Sri Lanka. So, that is a great incident, because they won the 4 hells, having attained the first stage of sainthood. Still we are in the samsara. There is no end to our samsara. That is the thing that we have to pay attention on very deeply. Still we are far behind of the ones, noble ones, who have gone beyond the path, gone beyond this world, or who are on the path, who have completed the path, just like attaining first stage of sainthood, second stage of sainthood, third stage of sainthood, and fourth stage of sainthood, that is Arahat level. So, meritorious devotees, now Arahat Mahinda Thera delivered two types of explanations called Vimanavattu and Petavattu on the second day. So, Vimanavattu explicates about what is called the good results of people having done good deeds, and Petavattu explicates about bad activities and bad results. But the Chuti discourses explains how beings are born and how they are reborn according to good and bad actions. Now, there is the first Chuti discourse is called Manussa Chuti. That means disappearance from human world. So, a little bit of human beings, are having disappeared from this world, are born in human world again. That means minority, and the majority of them are born in the hell. That is the first Manussa Chuti discourse. Now, second Manussa Chuti discourse explicates that a minority of beings, human beings, disappear from human world and appear in the human world, and the majority of human beings disappear from this world and are born in the animal plane. So, there are number of beings who are born in the animal plane, and people do not understand this. People do not believe. People tend to think these are some fairy tales. Now, you can remember at that time, so many beings or so many people were born in animal planes. There are so many stories. Even today there are so many stories like that. So, you can understand them. And also you can understand there are so many people who are born in Preta world. There are some records. Even from Western world there are some records. And some of the beings are born in other ghost worlds. So, Dhamma friends, meritorious devotees, you have to understand, minority are born in human world, majority are born in hell, animal plane and Preta world. And minority of human beings are born in, according to the fourth Manussa Chuti discourse, born in heavenly world. Now, that also you have to understand. In order to be born in the heavenly world, you have to practice 5 things. What are the 5 things that you have to practice? Shraddha. Shraddha means, the name of the channel also Shraddha. Now, that is also appropriate and suitable to name Shraddha, because this arouses Shraddha in you. Shraddha means Saddhati Tathagatasya Bodhin. You have heard this so many times now. You can remember. Only thing is not mere remembering, but to behave accordingly. That is the most important thing. Therefore, Saddhati Tathagatasya Bodhin. That means you have you have to have the confidence on the Supreme Buddha's enlightenment wholeheartedly. Then you have to practice sila, virtue. Then Shruddha, Dhamma, knowledge. Then Chaga, charity. Then Panya, wisdom. So these are the 5 factors which are called Seka Bala to go to heaven. So those who practice these 5 factors are born in heaven, but minority of human beings. So majority of them are born in the hell. So minority of human beings are born in heaven, majority of them are born in animal plane. Minority of human beings are born in heaven, majority of them are born in Preta world. Now this is the operationalization of birth and death and re-becoming of human beings in terms of the good and bad actions that they do. Now these are Manussa Chuti discourses. Now then we have what are called Deva Chuti. So that is also very important to know how gods are born, how they disappear, how they reappear. So out of the gods in the heaven or in heavens, minority of gods disappear and reappear in heavenly plane. Minority. Majority of them disappear from the heavenly world and reappear in the hell. Now that is the most dangerous thing. People tend to think now heaven is a safe place. Of course, heaven is a safe place for those who have attained path and fruits, maga and pala. But those who have not attained up to that level, there is a danger. Therefore, there is a danger to be born in the hell even. However, there is a capability to attain paths like Sotapanna and all that in heaven, rather than the fastness of the attainment is and easiness of the attainment is more when compared with the human world. And meritorious devotees, you have to understand there is the second Devachuti discourse, according to which minority of devas disappear from heaven and reappear in the heaven, and the majority of them disappear from the heaven and reappear in the animal plane. Therefore, the animals who are born in the world may have come from heaven. Some of the dogs, the pets living in your houses may have come down from heaven, but we do not understand. Therefore, we sometimes hit them. We make them troublesome. We do not care them, but sometimes they have come down from the heaven, having done some demerits in the past lives. And meritorious devotees, thirdly, minority of devas are born in Deva world, minority of gods are born in the heaven again, and majority of them are born in Preta world. Now that is the first part of the Chuti discourses on gods. And the second part says minority of gods are born in human world. Therefore, those who are listening, watching this program might have or may have come down from heaven, but we do not know because of the ignorance and non-developed mind of us. If the Supreme Buddha is available today. If some Arahants who are having some knowledges would have explicated to us so and so might have come down from heaven or heavenly planes. So, minority of us are born in human world, majority of us are born in the hell, and minority of gods are born in human world, majority of them are born in animal plane. Minority of gods are born in human world, majority of them are born in Preta world. Now, this is the second aspect. So, Devachuti, we have to understand that part too. Manussachuti and Devachuti and meritorious devotees. Another section is Nirayachuti, how beings are born from hell. Now, minority of beings in the hell disappearing from the hell reappear in the human world, right? So, they can come to human world. You can understand there are some beings in human world, their behavior is very, very complicated. We cannot understand how they behave, and their behavior is very wicked. Very difficult to analyze their behavior. And meritorious devotees, now that is the one part that I have to discuss. And secondly, there are some meritorious devotees, there are some beings in the hell, they are born in human world in a minority level, but majority of them are born in animal plane. You know, the next part that I have to mention is minority of beings born in the hell are reappear in the human world, and majority of them are born in Preta world. Now, this is Nirayachuti discourses, Nirayachuti. Now, we have to know all that, what is being taken place, what is being operated in the world, how this universe operates, how it exists, what are the theories. Specifically, the theory is karma. Now, based on karma, we are born and reborn. People tend to think we can come back again very easily, but these discourses indicate that it is very rare to be born as a human being or a god. And meritorious devotees, another aspect that we have to know is Tirachana Chuti discourses. Tirachana Chuti. Now, what do you mean by Tirachana Chuti? How we disappear from animal plane and how we appear in other planes. So many beings in the world are animals. So many animals. We have been born in the past, you know, so many times, millions and trillions of time as animals. According to some discourses, the Supreme Buddha says, we have been born as oxen, we have been born as goats, we have been born as cocks, we have been born as pigs, we have been born as sheep. Now, at times that we have been born as these beings, when our head was beheaded, the blood came out of our head, body. If we have collected, then that will surpass the water level of the 4 oceans, the Buddha says. Now, you can understand that type of dangerous place is called samsara. But people like to be born again and again in this samsara. Why? Because of ignorance. Therefore, the Tirachana Chuti discourses indicate that minority of the animals after disappearance from the animal plane will reappear in the hell. So, minority of them, the animals, reappear after disappearance, reappear in human world. The majority of them disappear from here and reappear in the hell. And minority of the animals disappear from their world and reappear, they reappear in the human world. Minority. Majority of them are born in the animal plane again. Minority of animals are born in human world and majority of them are born in Preta world. Those are the first three Tirachana Chuti discourses. And the next one says that minority of Devas are born in, the minority of Devas are born, minority of animals are born in heavenly plane. Now you understand, even animals have the ability to be born in heaven. Now there are so many stories like that even today. Now that is very important to know. Even today there are stories which explains and which hints that animals can be born in heaven. Now I can remember one day there was an alms giving to our temple from a Dayaka family. They came to the temple and that day I was available. Generally I am not available in the temple, most probably due to some of the Dhamma programs. But on that day I was there. And they brought they brought respectfully the dane, and I asked why you have some extra dana or alms giving today. Then they said, "Oh Venerable Sir, our dog passed away 7 days back. Therefore, this is the 7-day dane." Now, generally we know we offer 7-day dane for human beings. Now, this is for a pet. Then they said we are very sorry about it, and it was just like a human being. They said, he never made the kennel unclean for 12 years. He never made the kennel unclean for 12 years. And when he was given water, generally in a cup or something like that, he does not drink it. But when when the tap was open, he comes and open his mouth and drinks water. That is the way, and it has so many qualities compared to human beings. So then they believe this was a kind of human being in the previous life, might have been born due to a bad action, but he might have completed his bad karma. Now he had the capacity to be born in the heavenly plane or pleasurable plane. Therefore, we believe that he might have been born in the heavenly plane. Now that incident can be understood, and we can have a positive mind of it, because our Supreme Buddha teaches us even animals can be born in the heaven, but minority of them. So minority of the animals can be born in the heaven, but majority of them are born in hell. Minority of animals are born in heavenly plane, majority of them are born in animal plane again. Minority of animals are born in heavenly plane. Majority of them are born in Preta world. Now these are Tirachana Chuti. Now final Chuti discourses are Petti Chuti. Petti Chuti. Now there are Pretas. Now of course in the second day itself Arahat Mahinda Thera delivered the Dhamma sermon to Anula, the Queen Anula and the attendants, this Petavattu. Now this is Petti Chuti. How Pretas disappear from Preta world and reappear in other worlds. Now according to that, minority of Pretas are after disappearance from Preta world reappear in human world. Minority of them. So majority of them disappear from Preta world, reappear in the hell. Minority of beings in the hell. Minority of beings in the Preta world disappear from Preta world and reappear in human world. But majority of them are born in animal plane. Minority of Pretas disappear from Preta world and reappear in human world. Majority of them disappear from Preta world, reappear in Preta world. Now this is the first section. And then secondly, minority of Pretas after disappearing reappear in heavenly world. Now even the Pretas can be born in heavenly world. Minority of but majority of them are born in the hell. Minority of Pretas having disappeared from Preta world reappear in the heavenly world, but majority of them are born in animal plane. Minority of Pretas, reappear having disappeared from the Preta world, heavenly world, and majority of them having disappeared from Preta world reappear in what is called Preta world. Now this is the way of operationalization of the beings in relation to good and bad actions. So meritorious devotees, if we once again remember, if we try to memorize the way that we are born. First and foremost, human beings are born in, minority are born in human world, majority in the hell. Minority in the human world, majority in the animal plane. Minority in the human world, majority in the Preta world. Minority in the heaven, majority in the hell. Minority in the heaven, majority in the animal plane. Minority in the heaven, majority in the Preta world. Now this is how human beings are born. Now this is the methodology. So we all have to undergo this method. Nobody can escape from that in the samsara. Now secondly, minority of devas are born in human world. Majority are born in the hell. Minority of them are born in gods as gods. Majority are born in hell. Minority are born as gods. Majority are born as animals. Minority are born as gods. Majority are born as Preta world, Pretas. Minority of them are born as human beings. Majority are born in the hell. Minority of them are born as human beings. Majority of them are born as animals. Minority of them are born as human beings. Majority of them are born as Pretas. Now this is how devas disappear and appear, or how they disappear and how they appear. And also this is the third section is Niraya Chuti, how beings in the hell, how their appearance, disappearance takes place. So the beings in the hell also, few of them, minority of them are born in human world, majority in the hell. Minority in the human world, majority in the animal world. Minority in the human world, majority in the Preta world. Minority in the Deva world, majority in the hell. Minority in the Deva world, majority in the animal plane. Minority in the Deva world, majority in the Preta world. And then you have Tirachana Chuti. According to Tirachana Chuti, minority of the Tirachana or the animals reappear in human world, majority of them are born in the hell. Minority in the human world, majority in the animal plane. Minority in the human world, majority in the Preta world. And next, minority of animals are born in the heaven, majority of them are in the hell. Minority of them are in the heaven, majority of them are in the animal plane. Minority of the people, minority of the beings in the animal plane are born in the heaven, majority of them are born in the Preta world. And finally, the Pettichuti. According to that, minority of beings in the born as human beings, majority of them are born in the hell. Minority of them are born as human beings, minority of them are born as human beings, and majority of them are born as animals. Minority of the beings in the Preta world are born as human beings, and majority of them are born as Pretas. Minority of the Pretas are born in the heaven, majority of them are born in the hell. Minority of them are born in the heavenly world, majority of them are born as animals. Minority of Pretas are born as gods, majority of them are born as Pretas. So this is the, Chuti discourses, 30 discourses found in Satya Sanyutta, which is in the Sanyutta Nikaya 5th section, 2nd part, and were delivered by Arahat Mahinda Thera on the 2nd day after arrival to Queen Anula and her retinue of 500 persons, and having listened to these Dhamma sermons, that is Vimanavattu, Petavattu and Satya Sanyutta, Queen Anula and the 500 women attained first stage of sainthood. That is a culmination of the culture introduced by Arahat Mahinda Thera, culmination in the sense the attainment of Nibbana. Of course, they have established themselves not going to hell again after attaining first stage of sainthood. Therefore, in this discourse, what I wanted to explicate to you is the Chuti discourses in the Satya Sanyutta, how we are born and how we disappear and how we are reborn, according to the kind of actions that we do, according to the karma that we accumulated based on our speech, body and mind. And therefore, meritorious devotees, you have to have confidence on the Supreme Buddha and don't do bad things, do good things. Very rarely we get the opportunity to be born as human beings, as gods, as Brahmas. Now this time we have got the opportunity to be born as a human being. Therefore, so I wanted to emphasize the culture introduced by Arahat Mahinda Thera too, as this is the period in which Arahat Mahinda Thera arrived in Sri Lanka. Therefore, meritorious devotees, you all try to remember the Dhamma expounded by me based on the teachings of the Supreme Buddha in Satya Sanyutta, especially Chuti discourses and try to keep away from bad things and keep company with good things and keep away the fools and those ignorant persons and keep company with pandits, wise persons, and try to do good always and try to comprehend the Four Noble Truths within the regime of Gautama Buddha Sasana. May Triple Gem bless you all. Namo Buddhaya.